It begins beneath a sky of brass, where the desert exhales judgment and the horizon bleeds fire. The sands of Moab shift like restless souls, whispering secrets of rebellion and fear. From the east rises a nation forged in the furnace of slavery, Israel, camped at the edge of destiny, its tents shimmering beneath the dying sun. To the trembling King Balak, their presence feels like an invasion of divine will itself. "They will devour everything," he cries, his voice cracking before the council of Moabite princes. Panic festers in his heart like a living curse, seeking control over what he cannot understand. He sends envoys heavy with gold and promises, searching for a man whose words can command the unseen, Balaam, the prophet of dual allegiances. Balaam's fame travels far beyond mortal kingdoms. It is said that his blessings opened heavens, and his curses sealed the fate of empires. Yet when Balak's emissaries reach him, the prophet hesitates. He knows that no earthly power can manipulate the voice that created light itself. Still, greed whispers softly, clothed in reason. That night, while the desert sleeps, the Eternal speaks. "You shall not curse these people, for they are blessed." The divine decree echoes through Balaam's chamber, but his heart, intoxicated by ambition, begins to twist the edges of obedience. How many times has the human soul tried to negotiate with the infinite? How many have tried to rewrite what heaven has already written? At dawn, he mounts his donkey. The sky grows darker with every step, as if creation itself resists his path. Ahead, unseen, the angel of the Lord stands in silence, sword blazing with celestial fire. The animal halts, trembling before what its master cannot see. Rage blinds Balaam. He strikes the creature, unaware that he's fighting against the mercy of God. And then, in an instant that fractures time, the impossible happens. The voice of heaven breaks through the humble lips of a beast. A rebuke divine and terrifying awakens the prophet from his arrogance. The man who sought to curse begins to hear the warning of grace. The irony is sacred. Even disobedience becomes an instrument of revelation. The desert watches in awe as a story greater than kings unfolds. What was meant for destruction becomes a testimony of transformation. God turns the weapon of words into a melody of blessing. The curse reverses, bending history toward redemption. That is the mystery of the Almighty, that even rebellion can be redeemed, that even darkness can serve the dawn. Stay with us, for this is only the beginning. Comment below. Have you ever seen pain turn into purpose? Can divine power rewrite human mistakes? Share your reflections. Subscribe, activate the bell, and prepare for part 2, The War Behind the Words, where unseen realms battle for the soul of prophecy itself. The dawn breaks over Moab like a battlefield between light and shadow. Balaam stands at the edge of a high cliff, his eyes fixed on the vast camp of Israel below. Tents stretch endlessly across the valley, gleaming under the sun like a sea of silver scales. Yet what mortal eyes see is nothing compared to the invisible storm brewing above them. The prophet feels it, the tension between heaven and hell twisting through the air. Every word he speaks now carries the weight of eternity. Behind the veil of the natural, unseen forces gather, angels of truth, spirits of deception, each waiting for a single sentence to ignite war across realms. The moment is sacred and dangerous, and Balaam is the fragile vessel through which divine intention and human corruption collide. Balak stands beside him, trembling with anticipation, his royal robes fluttering in the dry wind. "Curse them for me," he commands, his voice trembling, half fury, half fear. But when Balaam opens his mouth, something impossible happens. The words of the Almighty flow through him like fire. How can I curse whom God has not cursed? How can I denounce whom the Lord has not denounced? The air itself seems to shatter under the sound of the prophecy. Balak recoils, his plan turning to ashes in his hands. The prophet who came to curse now blesses, his tongue burning with the authority of heaven. Each syllable becomes a sword of light, slicing through demonic schemes. The king's face twists in horror as the realization dawns. He has invited divine blessing upon his enemies. Yet Balaam's inner war is far from over. Pride still whispers, "Maybe you can control it next time." So he climbs to another mountain, thinking perhaps the curse will work from a different angle. Again he prepares altars, again he calls on the Almighty. But the heavens respond with silence until the Spirit of God falls upon him, fierce and unyielding. "God is not a man, that he should lie," the voice roars through him. "Behold, I have received a command to bless. He has blessed, and I cannot reverse it." The mountains tremble, the sky turns molten gold, and once more, The power of the eternal bends the will of man. The prophet's resistance becomes reverence. His rebellion transforms into revelation. The people of Israel continue their journey, unaware that their destiny was defended not by swords, but by divine paradox. The curse was never reversed by human effort. It was conquered by truth itself. And deep inside Balaam's heart, something begins to die, the illusion that man can manipulate God. Still, the story is not over. Darkness is patient, and corruption often returns wearing the mask of wisdom. What Balaam cannot destroy with words, he will soon attempt with temptation. But that is a secret for the next revelation. Tell us in the comments, do you believe some battles are fought in the unseen before they touch the earth? Stay with us, subscribe, activate the bell, and prepare for part 3, the temptation of prophecy. Night falls like an omen. The fires of Moab flicker against the darkness, and in the distance, Israel's camp glows like a constellation on earth. But within Balaam's heart, the battle is not over. Though he has spoken the words of God, his ambition festers beneath the ashes of obedience. Gold still gleams in his memory, and Balak's promise echoes through his thoughts like the hiss of a serpent. I will honor you greatly, only curse them for me. Balaam knows the decree cannot be broken, yet a darker idea slithers into his mind. If the people cannot be cursed by word, perhaps they can be corrupted by desire. Thus begins the most insidious war, not of armies or altars, but of seduction and deception. Balak listens as Balaam whispers his counsel. Send your women among them, he suggests, voice low, eyes gleaming. Let pleasure do what curses could not. And so the king of Moab summons his daughters and the priests of Baal. Music rises through the desert night, flutes, drums, laughter. The scent of wine and incense weaves through the camp like a spell. One by one, the men of Israel are drawn toward forbidden tables, their hearts seduced by beauty that hides betrayal. What began as prophecy now descends into corruption. The unseen war Balaam once feared has crossed into flesh and blood. Shadows dance behind the flames, and the name of the living God is mocked in the very camp he had blessed. But heaven does not remain silent. A wind howls through the tents, carrying the scent of judgment. The Lord's anger burns, hotter than the fires of Moab. The sky cracks open with lightning, and plague sweeps through the camp like divine retribution. Panic erupts. Cries echo through the valley. In the midst of chaos, one man stands apart, Phinehas, the priest whose zeal becomes the sword of justice. With one strike, he pierces the sin that defiled the covenant, and the plague ceases. The air grows still. The lesson is eternal. No blessing can protect those who invite darkness into their own souls. What God blesses, man cannot curse. But what man corrupts, God will cleanse. Far away, Balaam watches the destruction from the shadows, realizing the terrible cost of his manipulation. The prophet who once spoke with angels now stands condemned by his own counsel. The gold in his hands feels heavier than the weight of stone. Yet even now, the story refuses to end in despair. The curse has turned to blessing, and the blessing, when twisted by sin, has been purified again by fire. Divine justice, though severe, always seeks restoration. That is the paradox of the Almighty. He allows no evil to stand unredeemed. Comment below, have you ever seen consequences become a teacher rather than a punishment? Has something painful ever purified your path? Share your reflections, subscribe, activate the bell, and prepare for part 4, the fall and the fire. The final chapter unfolds beneath a sky heavy with judgment. The wind howls through the ravines of Moab, carrying the echoes of a broken prophecy. Balaam, once the mouthpiece of heaven, now wanders among the tents of Midian. His heart consumed by the very ambition he once tried to justify. The gold that once shimmered like promise now feels like chains around his soul. The Spirit of the Lord has departed from him, and silence fills the void where divine words once thundered. But heaven never forgets. Justice, though patient, is precise. Israel rises again, not in celebration, but in holy wrath, to cleanse what corruption left behind. The armies march toward Midian under a sky red with dust and vengeance. Balaam watches from the shadows as the sound of marching grows louder. The memory of God's voice haunts him. You shall not curse these people, for they are blessed. He whispers it again, but now it is too late. The one who once blessed now stands among the cursed. The swords of Israel flash in the distance, not as instruments of cruelty, But as purifiers of consequence, the camp of Midian trembles under the weight of retribution. The false altars collapse, the idols burn, and the smoke of judgment rises toward the heavens. And amidst that storm of fire, Balaam understands the truth he had spent his life resisting. No man can manipulate the will of the Eternal. The power he sought to control was never his. It was only borrowed light. As flames devour the idols of Baal, a strange peace settles over the valley. What seemed like destruction is in truth a cleansing. The curse that became a blessing now completes its circle. What was born in deceit ends in revelation. In this paradox lies the wisdom of God. He turns rebellion into testimony, downfall into renewal. Balaam's story, tragic yet divine, becomes a warning carved into eternity that spiritual gifts without obedience lead only to ruin. Yet even here, grace whispers through the smoke. The God who judged also redeems. From the ashes of sin rises a purified nation, their covenant restored, their faith renewed in the one who transforms evil into purpose. The wind quiets and dawn breaks over the battlefield. Israel stands victorious, not by power but by purification. The story of Balaam becomes a mirror for all generations. The danger of knowing the truth but not living it. The peril of speaking light while walking in darkness. Every gift can become a curse if it's severed from its source. Yet, in divine mercy, every curse can still become a blessing when surrendered back to God. That is the heart of redemption. The sacred reversal that turns failure into faith. Comment below, what does this story teach you about pride, obedience, and divine timing? Do you believe God still transforms curses today? Share your thoughts. Subscribe, activate the bell, and join us for When Prophecy Collides with Power, the Hidden War of the Last Days.